Coming up curve 19.
Hello everybody and welcome to Lake Placid. We are ready for the second heat of the season opener in the 2012-13 Men's Skeleton World Cup campaign. And after the first heat had the field whittled down from 27 starters to 20 for heat 2, this second heat will then cut the field further, in half in fact, where only 10 will go through to Friday's third and deciding heat. Martin Haven and alongside me David Kurtz in a valley that is, well, got a lot of temperature inversion going on here. We've got mist coming up from the valley, we've got cloud coming down, and in between all of that we have got the fastest man in skeleton at the top of the field, Martin Dukurs. But for him, it was a bit of an off ride. He started gangbusters and it just kind of withered on the vine. He only just has the lead of the race.
Well, I think you just saw one of his mistakes going sideways down from curve 3 was his only error as I saw it. But it's unusual for him not to be half a second ahead after the first heat on this track as he was in the World Championships here in February.
Looking there at Martins, start draw number 7, polishing the runners. Got a mirror finish on those. See that they're rounded, not a square edge like an ice skate. It's a very rounded tubular frame. The big story here, though, as Frank Raml turns up with an overweight sled and athlete combination. See him there kicking the ice out of the spikes. He gets on. And look at the digital display in the left-hand side. That is what is causing him a problem. He was half a kilo over the maximum weight for the sled and the athlete, and that means he's out of the race. Well, still -2, -3 degrees on the ice and in the air around Mount van Hovenberg. Martins and Thomas Dukurs, the brothers from Latvia, are 1 and 2 ahead of Alexander Tretiakov. And then there's a bit of a gulf back to John Daly of the USA in 4, a few hundreds ahead of Great Britain's Kristen Bromley, who started his season with a 5th place slide, first time out on the ice. No wonder he looked stoked when he got off his sled. But for Frank Raml, he was in 2nd place, just a few hundreds off the lead. It's going to be very tough. The start list of the second run is the top 20 going in reverse order. 20th after Heat 1 was Giovanni Mulisano, and he will go off first. There you saw the start draw from our first heat, which had Olympic champion John Montgomery some way down the order. Montgomery in 14th place after his 13th place after his first heat, having taken a year away from the ice. Well, the 4 runners are going down the track at the moment, and this is a tricky track for the newcomers. We've got a few rookies in the field, a couple of fairly inexperienced sliders in our top 20. And when you don't know the track well, David, getting 1 run is okay, but trying to repeat that, get the consistency, that's the tricky thing.
Well, you know, there's so many triggers on here where your run can go completely wrong. The exit of 3, actually the entrance of 3 is one thing where you haven't set up, how you can react to the crack off the wall. And then, of course, the Devil's Den, where a lot of time is lost going into the big shady curve. Do you take the high line, the fast line? Can you make a mistake? You sure can. And then, of course, the exit of 12 has caused a lot of our athletes problems. And then, of course, then you have, after all of that, the exit of Benham's Bend, difficult curve, and the very difficult chicane.
Well, with a helmet with a moustache and a face with a moustache to match it, maybe. Giovanni Mulisano of Italy is getting ready to slide here. And the Italian men with ex-female World Cup slider Dani Licati as their coach. Now from 27 down to 20 sleds. Not all 14 nations represented anymore. Mulisano, though, will get this underway for our second heat. He started 5:06 in the first push, 4:99. There you go. Again, lots of them will be a little tight with nerves, David. And, yeah, just getting that more relaxed feeling going.
And they groom the start grooves again. And also, so if you're early off on the second heat, you actually have a benefit of a good clean grooves and with fresh smooth ice. And we'll see it deteriorate a little bit, but then you have the big guys at the end of that can really haul it off at the start, so it doesn't have any real major effect. You heard a little bit of chatter off the chin guard. He got buried his head in, little high exit, not too bad out of 12.
Good run out of Shady, not bad through the chicane, 1:15.5.
Not good speed.
Making his way through curve 18 and 19.
Goes down this track. First run was a 55.52. That's not quite as quick, 55.70. Now, the slight extra moisture in the air and the sort of warming slightly of the temperature by a couple of degrees, maybe having a fractional difference. You'd find it very hard to tell that the air was any quicker standing around the track or any cooler, any warmer standing around the track, but the runners may find it more difficult to give the grip that the slider's looking for.
Yeah, well, I don't think you saw any major errors here from Giovanni Mulisano, but, you know, we have low-hanging clouds now, much different than it was earlier today, and the humidity...
Well, all these sleds have to fit into a maximum length and width box, 1.2 meters long, 0.5 a meter wide, and 115 kilos is the all-up weight for the athlete and sled in the men's competition. A little lighter in the women's competition because the women tend to be a little lighter. And a Mirambell of Spain then, the man from Barcelona, trains with Espanyol, Barcelona's second football club during the summer, and really looking forward to get back on the ice to start this World Cup campaign. 19th after the first heat, and again a 5:15 start. Didn't look particularly happy with his run.
No, he wasn't, and also being coached by Mickey Grotheer, you can see they're urging him on, who's coaching a lot of the athletes from different countries, and formerly coach of Great Britain. 5:14 start, not the best, but Andrew Mirambell has been on the circuit now for a couple of years. He's got some experience, he's been at this track before, and had a lot too much foot dragging out there. He could have corrected that bang out of 3 without that heavy foot action.
Finished 26th in the World Championship here. That was a slightly bigger field. He's definitely looking at improvements again. His target, every time you come to a track, you want to go faster, learn more from each experience.
117.9 kilometers per hour, a clean trip through the chicane.
It's 2 kilometers an hour up on Giovanni Mulisano of Italy, and that's opened up a 100th margin to half a second. Again, a couple of critical corners here. If you get them right, can make a big difference to your slide. There you go. Now he's happy with that. And he's happy, David, because it will have felt better from shady on down.
Yeah.
A, it didn't hurt so much because he didn't hit so much, and B, it just flowed better, and he knows he's nailed some of those really critical exits.
Sure. Now watch the bumps here too, off the wall. Now watch the dragging of the feet. Very heavy on the right foot. That slowed him down, but he did have a good run. He didn't overcorrect. Yes, he slowed down there, but he didn't go countering over off the wall. Nice clean line through chicane. That's why he's so happy at the finish. A good second heat.
Yeah, decent run through the chicane. Keeps your speed alive because the heart at the bottom goes uphill towards the finish line. So yeah, happy with that. There you go, day one. That's not going to put him in the top 10, but he's firmly in the top 20. He leads as Matthias Guggenberger gets ready at the top of the track. Guggenberger, 28-year-old Austrian. His big success last year, Koenigsee in Bavaria, bronze medal, his first ever World Cup podium finish. It was a really, really strong race. And now he needs to find a few more of those to move his career on.
Yeah, last year, though, he did have some better start times. We'll see if maybe he's slightly injured. It doesn't take much to slow you down by a couple tenths for sure.
Again, towards the end of the season, you tend to be going better and better. 5:13. His first start was a 5:09. Oh, and a long, leggy correction there.
When you're not going fast and a major corrective error like that, it's going to cost him down here. But we'll see if he can hang on. He's got to stay clean, got to stay composed. See how he handles the big shady curve.
2300s behind Ander Mirambell, and the Spaniard definitely had a good bottom end.
Took the low line through shady, and although it was safe and clean, it's not the fastest line. 2600s back, 119.2 clicks, not too bad speed.
Making his way through 17 into 18.
He's still in third place, 2600s behind, but he's bringing it back, and that's his aerodynamic form. That's what you learn as a kid, 7 or 8 years of age when you start in Eagles. Came down to within a tenth, but it is the Spaniard who leads under Mirambell. Matthias Guggenberger slips into second place. David, when you're at the top of the track and you're doing relatively slow speeds, mistakes there just cost you so much.
They're magnified, and you know when you're hitting it at 75 miles an hour and you tap the wall, you can live with that. You can't live with it there. That's death when you're going that slow and drag along the wall. Here's the low line and shady, head buried, chin guard on the ice. Good line profile, but the low line's the slow line.
Nice chrome dome he's got, but he's wearing that chrome away on the chin piece, getting his head down in the ice. And the Mirambell leads for Spain.
Always an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah.
Sorry, but not too sorry.
Exactly. Now then, here is rookie Christopher Grotheer from Germany. Student from Oberhof, just 20 years old. And there is your race leader. Grotheer second in last year's Junior World Championship. Started skeleton at just 16 years of age, so he's been on the ice for 4 years, and he's already making his World Cup start. Being shouted on there on the right-hand side of the jacket by Frank Raml.
Good that Frank Raml's back cheering on the team after the very disappointing disqualification.
5.05, and that's
just 200 off of the pace from Martin Dukurs. What a shame.
Well, Raml will take that on the chin. You know, it's a mistake he'll try hard not to make again, but he's not going to go and kick the cat or get too upset about it. 3100's up on Andy Mirambell. And that's a good run because he was less than a tenth of a second up in the first heat. So this is him really relaxing into this track. Bearing in mind, he's had 4 runs in training, David. This is only his 6th trip down the track this weekend.
Yeah, the exit on 12 was pretty good, but then he drifted too far over to the right wall, and that kicked him back. Lost a little speed there, but actually a very good run here for Grotheer.
Wow, a little while there, but he's half a second up. 54.84. If he'd set that in the first heat, he would have been 10th fastest. World Cup rookie, 20 years old, sliding 4 years. I tell you what, no wonder the Germans have fast-tracked him. They haven't pushed him in. He's beaten equally fast and much more experienced sliders to get into the team. Second quickest start, but a really nice run.
Yeah, and the load was very good. He was ahead of the sled, so he didn't hold it back and bring it back to him. Not a bad exit out of 12, little clip, little overcompensation, but a very good run for the young rookie.
Yeah.
Look at his feet are way too high in the back there, almost like a little kid on a flexible
Again, he's
flyer.
getting his knees down there, isn't he? Really steering onto Benham's Bend, and that is the face, well, definitely of potentially of Germany's sliding future, Christopher Grotheer. Well, Rafa Maier, another young Austrian slider. And you know, when you go to Eagles, David, sometimes you look at the forerunners and you go, hang on a minute, is he old enough to even be on ice? You know, they've got kids that are 7, 8 years old there on the track at Eagles, starting from the lower starts and working their way up. No wonder they have a degree of strength and depth. And again, look at the tape on the chin piece of the helmet. That's to tidy up what's been worn away in training.
Well, a good young athlete, Rafa. Oh, slight slip there on his left foot.
Again, I saw that in the first start, and you're right, his left leg, it's almost like he's running straight-legged, as if he's got an injury on his knee.
Yeah, 5.28 push, that's not going to get it done.
He did 5.25 in the first heat. I think he may be carrying a bit of a stiff left knee. It was more of a hobble than a sprint. We'll take a look at that again, I think.
If we're towards the end of the season, I would say they haven't changed their shoes in a while, because you can blunt the needle points that are used in the brush spikes of these shoes. But here we are, second heat of the first race of the season. However, he could have had 100 runs, and they don't have in the bank money for equipment. Boy, that was a tough hit.
Yeah, almost saw him pull his hand out of that one. 120, top speed through the chicane. He's flown through there quicker than anybody else. Again,
this is where he's got to hold it together, though. He got good form here. Feet still a little dragging a little bit. Pick his head up a little too high.
He's going to take the lead.
How about this?
Wow, 54.86. He hangs on with Christopher Grotheer.
No, he's tied, right?
Yeah. Hangs on, ties for the lead. Well, look, he's come back from 0.4 of a second back as he got into the Devil's Highway. Wow.
Pulled together at the bottom of the course.
5.21.
Not bad out of 12. Takes that hit. Now that's where he loses a little bit, makes it tough for the transition, but he regroups, uses the techniques with the hands under the body. He really tightens the shoulders over the saddle. That's the side of the sled up top above the pan.
So there are your leaders. On the left, here's Rafael Maier. On the right, Christopher Grotheer. And Mirambell of Spain lies in third. We have 15 to go, and another tie now. Head first, Ed Smith. He is tied for 14th place with Eric Nielsen of Canada. Ed making his World Cup debut with his sled Thor. So, an electrician from Bristol, trains with the rest of the British team at the University of Bath. Third in last year's Intercontinental Cup, the second tier of sliding.
See the Russian coaches on the side there. They're looking carefully at the equipment of the British sliders, making sure that they're getting the best for their program for 2014.
Well, it started 5:08 first heat, 5:11 in the second. It will take a couple of hundredths of a second. It's an equally good start.
How clean and solid his shoulders are. He's got the group nestled, so when he takes a side hit, doesn't rock him on the sled and cause any lateral distraction from the speed going forward.
Well, again, long-rangey athlete. He's 6 foot comfortably. He's 198 pounds, 90 kilos. So a lot of athletes. I mean, compared to John Daly, 5'5", and 40, 50 pounds lighter. He's got an awful lot more stability in that long body.
That's true, but you have the head hanging over in the front and your feet dragging in the back. It's tough. You can see him lifting his legs there, consciously keeping his feet off the ice, and good run.
Yep, 55.04, his first heat, 55.07. David, we talk about consistency being very important. You can hardly get more consistent than that, only 300ths of a second apart.
Really, for his first World Cup race, and high performance director Andy Schmidt up top. So here we go. Here's the chicane. Good form, takes the hit, doesn't over panic by raising the leg. A rookie mistake, but he didn't lose any speed down the bottom. And here he is in the heart. Good form. Now notice his head is not buried. His head's up, but it's tucked. So he's not aerodynamically inefficient, and a good closing speed at the bottom.
Well, his head is up because he's looking to see where he goes. Ed Smith does not know this track, probably won't really know this track for maybe another 3, 4, 5 seasons, but that was a good run. He's got the instincts he needs, and he takes the lead from Grotheer and Maier. Well, another man supporting the Movember, and this is Eric Nielsen, face man from Canada. I'm sure he has taken his iPod off. He's just thinking back to those show tunes he plays to himself before the start.
Show tunes?
No, we were just talking up at the start with John Montgomery, and he was saying, something just came on my iPod. He said, I don't know who's been downloading stuff onto this. 4:95 start for Nielsen. Good first part of the run, got really wild out of Benham's Bend. 4:99 getaway.
Still not bad. Second heat. Composed, a little better up top so far. Slight hit out of 3, that's not bad.
Eric Nielsen representing Team Canada.
He's got to try and tidy things up below Sonny. That's where it all got wild momentarily.
Now you'll notice his head is up, but his shoulders are still down on the sled. Now there he buried a little bit, but watch, see, he does not, he lifts his head so he gets a good view, but he doesn't raise his shoulders off. Oh, that's that late entrance into 12. It whacks you off. Recovery pretty good, but slow speed here through the chicane, 116.7 kilometers.
That was what cost him in the first heat. He was even further over to the right going in there, wasn't he? This time, not quite so bad, but still, right up the curve. Comes across the line with a 55.16. That leaves Ed Smith in the lead. You see the coach there was filming the run on the monitor at the top. And like everybody else, the athlete wants to know exactly what happened. He feels it, but this is what he needs to see.
Well, for sure, and you can see his left foot was dragging. Then he tried to raise it off the ice, and that brought the nose of the sled down way too early on the late exit of the curve. Takes him and the transition over off the ball.
obviously the rest of the course.
Well, that cost him so much speed. Top speed through here should be 120 kilometers an hour, and north of there, he was 116.7. Doesn't sound like an awful lot, a mile and an hour and a half maybe slower. But in this sport, that's a big deficit.
Yeah, our producer John Morgan was asking, what's that look, the icon look coming out of 12 with that leg? They call it the scorpion sting.
Yeah.
With that tail wild and out of control and very dangerous looking.
Well, tied for 14th with Eric Nielsen. Now in 13th place after the first heat was John Montgomery, the Olympic champion from Canada. Started 4.99. Let's see what he's got in the tank for start number 2.
A little drift over to the left side. Sets him up a little bit differently going into curve 1, but he's managed it well with the radical turns.
Well, at his flying best, Montgomery is not the fastest starter in the field, but what he does do is find speed on the ice. And of course, that's what helped him so much to take that Olympic gold medal in Vancouver. See if he can pull a little further away from Ed Smith.
Yeah, he had a good clean upper curves. We'll see how he goes through shady. Okay, looking good. Now 12 really kicked him in the first heat. We'll see how he handles it. Nice entrance, perfect exit.
Well, he was 1/100th of a second in front of Ed Smith after the first heat. Make that now 3/10, 1:19.5, pinballing through.
But nothing major damage in that chicane, although he took 2 hits. A minor loss of speed because he was under control, experienced veteran, knew how to not overreact.
Well, he was the same speed through the chicane. And Ed Smith waves goodbye to the leader's box. Eric Nielsen stalking off there. Maybe that wasn't. Maybe that was Coach Kelly Forbes at the top. I don't think Eric will be that disappointed. John Montgomery, though, has the lead of the race. And that was a big step forward from 100th in front of Ed Smith to 3/10 up. That could well put him firmly in the top 10.
Separated by less than a second. Everybody trying to get into the top 10.
Well, Montgomery with a new...
The safe line going through shady, but it carried him well through the bottom. And as you say, oh, there it goes. But see, no overreacting, no dragging in the feet, quick recovery.
Well, he slid here enough. He knows it's coming, doesn't he? And he knows that if he overreacts to it, then it's going to cost him more.
You could see the disappointment in the coach because it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't horrible, and he lived to perhaps slide.
Yeah.
Heat 3 tomorrow.
Coaches, eh? What can you do? Hiroyatsu Takahashi is at the top of the track as John Montgomery is at the top of the leaderboard. 12 still to go. Montgomery leads by 3/10 from Ed Smith. And then a tie for third at the moment with Christopher Grotheer and Raphael Maier. Takahashi, good run in the first heat. Nice, calm, smooth, relaxed. Very good aerodynamic form. Was ticking all of Coach Katsuhiro Koshi's boxes there, I'm sure. Everything looked good. Let's see if he can up the ante here. 5:08 first start.
Young protege of Kazuhiro Koshi, the longtime veteran from the Japanese program, now coaching. And he's mentoring these young sliders from Japan. 5:07 start. But this kid has a lot of good form, good structure too, good equipment. And the Japanese are hoping to broaden their program and with these young star athletes.
Well, Tayama came into the program, his teammate Shinsuke Tayama just a little in front of him. But to my eyes, last year Takahashi was pretty much level with him throughout the season. Now with a little bit more experience, a bit more training, looks like he's coming a little stronger than Shinsuke Tayama.
Whoa.
Not as bad as Nielsen, in fact. Not as bad as Montgomery's run through there. 1500s behind, but better. Oh no, a little bit down on speed.
Yeah, he hit the wrong wall, drug a little bit on the side. It looked quick, but it really slowed him down going into the Benton's Bend and chicane.
He's going to lose a position or two here. In fact, more than that. Drops down to 6th position. 55.38 slide. There is your leader. Not sure how his wife Daly is going with that Movember growth. Wives tend not to like it.
Yeah, Hirohatsu had a good run going, but once he got into the big shady curve, it was a low line, tried to take the exit, and then his problems started to magnify. Ping-ponging left, right, too high on that curve there, dragging a foot, that set him way off this curve, holding on, and it was a scramble for him all the way down after that point. Look at that, going up high, trying to squeeze that nose down so he doesn't get too far out of line. Dragging his feet, both feet, trying to stay straight, and he lost his speed totally.
Saw eyes wide open, helmet up. He was looking for the line. Didn't come to him naturally. And that shouldn't be a drama for Matt Antoine. He knows a lot about this track. In fact, he's the current track record holder. Set it in March 2011. But as we documented in the first heat, he is back from knee surgery just 8 weeks ago. So Matt is being gentle on his knee at the start.
You see the needle nose track spikes there. That's how they get that propulsion, a gentle load onto the sled. Obviously that knee is affecting him somewhat. 5:09 start. He does a tenth and a half better than that on most occasions. So still coming back, recovery, but he's got to get this race under to start maintaining some World Cup points, because this is the year before the Olympics. And you want to be ranked, so just stay in the top part of the heats, and so that you get the good ice in the later races. So you got to suck it up and do it here, and Matt Antoine's doing a good job.
27 years old, from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. So a man who's used to plenty of cold winters, you've got to think. Nice lines again. Nice. Still just holding the advantage over Olympic champion John Montgomery. 120.6, quicker than Montgomery as well.
Little side skid into the heart, but holding it well. Picking up speed. Keeping his feet off the ice. Big lanky guy taking him off the wall. 54.61 puts him in first place.
6'2", 180 pounds. He's a long athlete. 54.61 slide from Matt Antoine. And again, as you said, David, once he's got a bit of strength in that knee, and he's looking towards the World Championships towards the end of the season, February in
St. Moritz, right?
Moritz.
And he's had good results there, so that's why he's looking forward to that. And that's his program. Everybody has their own kinds of program, how you progress, what's the pace.
So in theory,
and I know Coach Duffy Latour is very excited to see him come back. There you go. Not a field goal, but a good run from Matt Antoine.
We would expect probably some changes in the top 10.
Matt Antoine is our race leader then, from John Montgomery in second place. 10 to go. Both of Antoine and Montgomery could make it into the fast 10 for the third heat in tomorrow's racing action, but that is by no means guaranteed. Confirmation then of our order at the moment. Half the field has gone down in the second heat. 10 down, 10 still to come. Only 10 will race tomorrow. Are we looking at any of those names there? Find out after this.
And the two-man bobsled, so a busy day. 2-minute warning to our next competitive sled. 2-minute warning.
So up next is our top 10 sleds after run number 1. This is exciting racing. This is the FIVT Bobsled and Skeleton World Cup event, the first stop of their season, right here on Mount Van Hovenberg. Usually this is later in the season for us, but we are opening the season with the FIVT Bobsled World Cup. Check out the Facebook page, Lake Placid Olympic Sports Complex. Follow our athletes. Also the Twitter page of the same name. Grab some merchandise. Come on back out tomorrow. The award ceremony will be Saturday afternoon. An exciting weekend yet to come here at Mount Van Hovenberg. So make sure you get some tickets.
What else? We have Can-Am big hockey weekend in town this weekend. So while you're here, make sure you swing into the Olympic Center and watch all the goings on. Check the website as well. Ski ticket deals for Super Sundays coming up this spring. And of course, the Stars on Ice show next month. And the Face-Off, the Festivus Face-Off coming up next month. Very busy place. Check the website, make your schedule, buy some tickets. We'll see you out here as these next few weeks go by. But coming up next, the second half of the second run for the men's skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up on my iPhone, said like the lowest 19.
Welcome back to Lake Placid in the northern slope of Mount Van Hovenberg, upstate New York. We're in the Adirondack Mountains, halfway through the second heat of the men's Skeleton World Cup opener. And there is Martins Dukurs. He leads after what for him was a fairly random first run. But he still leads from brother Thomas Dukurs, and perhaps the biggest thorn in his side over the last season has been disqualified Frank Raml. 10 to go then in Heat 2, first of whom is Johnny Fairburn of Canada. Now, for him, trying to stay in front of Matt Antoine, the current leader, and Olympic champion John Montgomery is going to be the first task. 5:08 getaway, identical to his first heat.
A real task for John Fairburn, and knowing that he's got, looking over his shoulder, Matt Antoine and gold medalist John Montgomery, he's got to have a perfect run because they have really put the heat on.
Many runs down the track in his career here in Mount Van Hoevenberg. He's got
15th in the World Championships here in February this year. He is looking to go better than that by a substantial margin. However, there is just a hair's breadth in it. Started 200s up. He's 300s back. One good steer will eradicate that deficit on the right corner. Good exit. Look at that.
Nice speed. He's bringing it back. We'll see how if he's carrying that speed down the the lower curves, high G-force. Nope.
No, he was a kilometre an hour slower than Matt Antoine, the current leader. So good exit, but not enough speed in a straight line. 54.88, there is Antoine.
His combined time of 1:49.76.
That puts Johnny Fairburn into second place, but at the moment, with 9 to go, outside the third heat. So let's just remind you, normally we have a two-heat race. Johnny Fairburn shooting the chicane really nicely, but again, look at the runners. Looks like he's got a pretty flat runner as opposed to a real rock on it, and that might be just causing more drag than he needs. He didn't have the speed of race leader Matt Antoine.
Yeah, right down the center of the straightaway, stayed away from the debris on the sidewalls, and yet, as you say, maybe the flatness of his runners to be safe and secure cost him the speed that he needed to stay in the top 10.
Okay, so he's out of the 10 at the moment. What about this man, Maurizio Eoli? Had a really good first run.
What a surprise for Coach Danny Lucati, who spent a lot of time on the World Cup Tours from the women's side of the Italian program, and now coaching in her first year, and obviously looking intently at her surprise athlete sitting in 8th place after the first heat.
Martin Haven and David Kurtz here in the booth, trackside at Lake Placid. And there's the steely determination of Maurizio Eoli. See the clock counting down, top right of your screen. You hear the bing bong of the lift doors opening, and that's 30 seconds for him to then break the start beam. 5:05 getaway, 5:10 in the first heat, so he knows the pressure's on.
Well, he apparently does, and rallied to it. We'll see if he can carry it down the track. Not bad out of 3, although that gouge on the left-hand side of the wall is just getting cavernous at this point, dragging him back, but he's holding the speed and holding the time. This is going to be critical going into the big shady curve.
Quarter of a second up on Matt Antoine from the first heat. He still has most of that alive. Good exit from shady.
Yeah, high line, but I think he exited a little too early to be safe. Now he's going to lose some speed, and here you see it.
Good exit here. If he shoots the chicane, 1:19.3. That's not bad, but it's not enough. He may still lead down to 1800s. This will be in single digits of the line. Whoa, gonna be close, though. That's cost him 200s behind. That tiny little correction, the kick with the legs, that's what did it. But look at that, Danny Lucati, he is in second place with 8 to go. He's in the top 10 for tomorrow.
Yeah, how about that? And what quite an accomplishment both by the young athlete and the new coach, Danny Lucati. They've got to be sweating a little bit this evening, looking forward to that final heat tomorrow. But what a run.
Yeah.
He looks smooth. He looks experienced. He rallied under the pressure. Got a little bit over towards the sidewall. Drag, bopped him off the sled, cost him some speed, but kept him in the top 10.
Matt found it hard to read that till right at the end. Look, it was in the last 2 or 3 seconds of the run that the balance of power changed again by that massive 200ths of a second. So, Matt Antoine leads, and Eoli in second place as we look at Ben Sanford at the top of the track, the tallest man in the field.
And has done well here in Lake Placid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He spent a lot of time racing in North America. Comes from New Zealand, and so this is kind of getting towards as close to a track that's near home as anything else. It's only, 5,000 or 6,000 miles away. That's got to be considered close, right?
It is. He did well here in the World Championships last year. A surprise. He trains here a lot as well, too. And really, again, an athlete from a country that has no home track and has trained hard. Been a veteran, athlete's rep, very experienced, and this guy knows this track as good as anybody. 5:20 start. You think he's out of it? Watch him come down this track. Perfect position. Shoulders big for a big man, just over. Head not up high. Feet off the ice.
I tell you what the focus of his year will be, staying fit, staying fast till St. because boy, when the World Championships arrive, that is a playground for him. His long body, the length, the 1,600 meters of the track over a mile of ice, everything plays to his strong suits, his aerodynamic ability and his long frame. Look at this, 2,700 up on Antoine, who, let's not forget, is the track record holder, who clearly knows a thing or two about this track here. Great run from Sanford.
Excellent run.
Having a little heads-up moment there, but still 54.67 slide, 1800s in the lead, and decent speed as well, 120.3 through the chicane.
Ben Sanford knows this track, knows how to slide this track, knows how to prepare for the events here.
He's won a few races here in America's Cup, and he is firmly in the top 10 here. Look at this, 120.3 kilometers an hour, only Antoine faster in the field.
Fan, we've got two-man bobsled tomorrow.
Yeah, but the problem is here, look how he's dragging the feet. He lost it here, almost had to torque his body off the sled, the big frame that he has.
Well, that was a crest-a-run steer. That really was. That wasn't just a subtle steer. That was hauling the sled back down away from the wall. Nonetheless, he was only 200ths of a second away from his first run time. So impressive consistency from Sanford. 7 to go then. Kyle Tress next up, 7th after heat 1. 54.62 run. 300s quicker than Ben Sanford, and starting from the blocks with the double-handed push, and then lets go of the sled, converts to the single hand.
That was the transition kind of start from the two-hand to the one-hand, and he's in the middle of it with a burst off the blocks with two hands and then shifting to the one-hand start.
He lets go of the sled twice, once when he goes from two hands to one hand, and then once when he goes from one hand on it to when he leaps onto it and has to put his hand from one side to the other, so it's double jeopardy. But he clearly feels comfortable with it.
Well, he does, and it's risky. But once you've trained on it for a couple hundred runs before, he's holding his speed. So we'll see how he goes down for the lower part of this track, because this could hurt him.
Still has the lead of the race. Now if he gets a couple of good steers here, and that's a good exit. Let's see how he shoots the chicane. 120.7, that's very quick. He's
nice entrance into the heart. Look at this. He's carrying some speed. Good, clean entrance into the heart curve. Losing just a shade, but he's going to hold on.
Really good run from Kyle Tress. Software developer in the summer, lives in Lake Placid, takes the lead from Ben Sanford, who has barely even had time to get into the leader's box before somebody else comes along and shuffles him smoothly out. Home ice, yeah, great run from Kyle Tress. Well, let's take a look again at the start. Starts with two hands, then he'll move his right hand to the left-hand side. So he's left it alone. Now he's got to hope it's still there when he loads, David.
Well, he does, and actually there are coaches that complain that this is a break in the rules because you're not supposed to leave contact with the sled when you load, and he does, but all the athletes do it, and it's not a rule that's enforced at that start.
It's unenforceable if you have a single-handed start. Little dig into the ice there at the bottom, but good run from Kyle Tress, and he's just reflecting the fact that, yeah, at 120 kilometers an hour, minus 3 or 4 degrees of air temperature, it's pretty chilly out there, you know. Turn the heating up again, would you?
Well, we're supposed to be cold-blooded here.
Yeah.
And but still some racing yet to go. And we've got the top sliders so far.
Yep.
And Alexander Kuechle from Germany. Surprise addition to the German team, and as they fluctuate in their very deep program.
He is the 2011 Junior World Champion. He took silver in the Junior Worlds in 2010. And the Junior World Champion for 2012 joined the German team to make 4 German sliders in the World Champs in February here. And he's a guy who's had a very starry junior career. European champion, Europa Cup champion rather, in 2009-10. He's been a strong Intercontinental Cup slider, made his World Cup debut last year. stays in the team. So he is certainly a man for the future, but 5:01 start.
Notice that the German sleds allow the athletes to put their hands almost under their thighs, and that really gives you a tight grip on the top of the shoulders, keeps the shoulders glued to the front of the sled so you're not coming off and becoming aerodynamically inefficient. And that's how these German sleds start to make up the time down the lower part of the track.
All the German sleds built by FES, who build their bobsleighs as well. High-tech company based in Germany, in Berlin. Ooh. Double tap through the chicane. 1800s up, the gap's come down from 1/3 of a second to 900s. Has he got enough? No, 600s at the line. It is tight, 54.58. 400s of a second quicker than his first slide only. Well, that's a very tight run indeed. He takes the lead by a whisker. Speed through the chicane, all part of that, 120.3 kilometers an hour.
600ths of a second separate these two gentlemen.
Out of Benham's Bend, the chicane, slight tap, good speed though, you can just see it. It looks fast, you know, he's in line with the sled. Look at his feet off the ice. You'll see a lot of them down here in the high-pressure curves. Not only does the head get buried, but the feet get buried down. They're dragging their toes, slows them down.
Pumps the fist coming up the straight. Little pointy finger, so familiar to fans of Formula One driver Sebastian Vettel. He's in the lead at the moment, 5 to go. And he's got some really big names right in front of him. Former World, European and World Cup champion Kristen Bromley. On the left-hand side, you can see, so on the right-hand side, on his left, Shelley Rudman holding the sled. Their daughter is here, Ella. And mum and dad, grandparents looking after them.
And brother Richard, the coach and sled manufacturer and designer. It's quite a family operation, and well done too. I'm on tour, well respected. Those fluorescent green shoes. We'll see what kind of foot turnover he has. For an old guy, he does okay. He really does.
Yeah, not bad for an old fella. 5:18 first heat. Let's see what he's got in the second. 5:09. Now that will please him a lot more than an 18 does. But for him, it's all about the sled. Last year, the whole focus was trying to develop the sled into a World Championship winner. Now, again, it'll be getting the sled ready for the World Champs and long-term for Sochi 2014.
Yeah, the data they collect on each and every track, and there will be the test event in Sochi in February, so they'll get to line up their sleds. He takes that low, safe line, trying not to make any mistakes, but he's got good equipment. He feels he can handle it and still carry the speed.
300s, he's closing down from 1200s back, right in there, 120.4, a whisker quicker than Kuechle. This could still see him in the lead, heading into tomorrow's top 10. 200s up, good run through the heart, keeps the speed on board, just doubles that, 54.60 slide, 54.45 in the first heat, so not as quick, but does the job, gets it done. Well, you saw Shelley Rudman look pretty happy with that. He had good speed in the chicane and kept it clean, so he carried it through the heart.
And that's the secret. He has not had good races through the chicane here the last couple of times he's been down this track, but that was just perfect. Just a slight negotiation with the right toe, not really dragging his speed. He carried it well through the heart and the lower high G curves.
There's the luminous green shoes, make it easy to spot what he's up to. Much more difficult to spot what is going on with the sled. That is a closely guarded secret between himself and brother Richard.
From run number 1. This is exciting racing. Don't go
He's looking
anywhere.
happy with life, isn't he? And why wouldn't you? Beautiful wife, beautiful baby, beautiful ice and snow. Yeah, no, there are worse places to be.
Well, for sure. I mean, Lake Placid, the village of Lake Placid, and the whole atmosphere of the North Adirondack country. It's like old country. And all the athletes internationally just love to be here and for just cause.
Fourth after the first heat is our top US slider, John Daly. 5:02 start, sub 5. Yeah, 4:98. Here we go. This is the second of potentially 3 runs for John Daly, looking for a big result to start the season off in the USA.
He started to put together 2 consistent runs in the races he was in last year. He had a lot of problems at the beginning, but then saw him at an intercontinental race, just trying to collect himself, picked himself up, knew what he had to do, and put 2 good runs together, and I think that's been part of his program. We'll see if he can hold together here. Holding a 2900s lead so far. Looking good, smooth, clean.
Nice lines from Daly. This is a good run. Look at this. He's coming from a few hundreds up to a third of a second in front. 120.5. Fastest man through the chicane bar, Kyle Tress's teammate.
Talk about a clean chicane. And one of his hurdles that he's had to overcome. 2 consistent runs and handling the chicane. Look at that, 3,200s up.
Wow, 54.34 slide, 500s quicker than his first heat. He's very happy with that. He's one of only 3 men sub 5 seconds at the start. Giovanni Mulisano, the first in the heat, a 4.99. We had a 4.99 from Faceman, Canada's Eric Nielsen, and a 4.98 from John Daly. 3 fastest starters in the field still to come, mind.
Trade there, but a great finish by John Daly.
2 hands on the left saddle, gets that propulsion, explosive push off the start, good first stride, good turnover on the foot speed.
What?
And the quads.
You know, he could be a track cyclist with quads like that. Absolute monster at the start.
And although they're quads, they're not bodybuilders, you know, and you saw the speed there, and that's why John Daly is in the mix for sure. And
the fast 3 through the chicane, Antoine, Tress, Daly. These guys know how to shoot that corner.
Well, they do. And it all starts further up on the course. Really, if you exit 12 okay, and then you do the lower chicane, then you should be able to take Benham's Bend and line yourself up perfectly for the chicane, but there's always something that can go wrong and bite you.
Third after the first heat, the Russian rocket, Alexander Tretiakov. Well, this guy, I'm sure, must own the start record at every track on the World Cup Tour that he's ever seen.
Well, he had problems. He even slipped on his first start and still had a 5.84, I believe, which was the best in the first heat. 4.80 here.
0. Yeah, there you go. That's quicker than we've seen from anyone else.
Now, this is his big hurdle to overcome. He is often inconsistent, sometimes so inconsistent just in the first 50 meters. Perfect start, perfect load, and then cranks it out too early. Look at this, 7,800s up. He may be putting together a challenging run for Martin's Dukurs here.
You know, oftentimes, David, nobody else can handle this speed, and sometimes he can't handle it, but nobody else gets the chance to try and handle the speed because they can't start as fast as he can.
Yeah, he was scary in Vancouver during the games. I mean, it was where the skeleton sleds were going 90-something. Look at the speed here, 121.7 kilometers per hour. He is rocketing down here, the Russian rocket.
He has got the afterburners fully lit, 6/10 ahead of John Daly from the first heat. He's now a second in front. Dear, oh, yeah, absolute. What can you do? 53.81. My words.
It's the first time you're going to see him happy in a long time, Alexander Tretiakov. All the pressure that's put on him and the expectation for the 2014 games.
Wow. Way to go, Alex. Handles the speed.
What an interesting, and the high aggressive line. It's unusual for him. He normally just wants to carry his speed down, but he took it and an excellent exit out of Shady. And here we are out of Benham's Bend. Look at this. I've never seen him on any run come this cleanly through the chicane. And it's paid off for him big time here, to the disappointment of John Daly, who says that was a miracle run. From that guy.
That was a great run. That was neat. When this kid arrived, Alexander Tretiakov, come on, my kid, no, he's like 27, but when he arrived, he had all the speed in the world at the start, and he used to hit every single corner on the way down, and it was always evident that when he stopped hitting stuff, he was going to start winning stuff. There's Martins Dukurs, our world champion, getting ready to go, because his brother Thomas, first man on the ice in the first heat, who lies second, is now getting ready for his run. He will try and stay in front of our new leader, Alexander Tretiakov. And there's not an awful lot to play with.
Nope, quite an assignment for him. And he's also got in his crosshairs his brother Martins. He's always been in the shadow, being the older brother, bigger, stronger, but never faster. And he's looking both to keep himself ahead of Tretiakov and keeping his brother Martins in his sight hairs.
4.94, quicker than his first start as well. That puts him very firmly on target, but still 1400s behind Alexander Tretiakov, who was only 700s faster in the first heat, so he's already behind. Can he drive back into contention?
He can. He's got a great lower head, like Ben Sanford. Big guy, over the balanced just correctly, feet comfortable and relaxed. Off the ice for a big guy. A lot of the smaller athletes forget to do that, and he is rocketing down here. He knows what he has to do. Just 200s off now.
Getting very close indeed. This is going to be
good speed.
An epic one. 121.4, 121.7 for the Russian. Still not enough to overhaul Tretiakov unless he can find it here. 400s behind. It'll be 8 at the line, only 5. Wow, 53.93 run. So Alexander Tretiakov moves up to second place.
But a very good run from Thomas Dukurs. There's no shame in that. He is ready and poised for tomorrow. And we'll see how his younger brother Martins does for the final sled of the day.
Now, of course, Tretiakov is our leader. I'm assuming that Martins Dukurs will stay as the leader after his run, but that's an assumption maybe I shouldn't make. Thomas Dukurs is in second at the moment for Latvia, but it is Russia's Alexander Tretiakov that leads. Nice slide from Thomas. Just didn't quite have the speed to overhaul Tretiakov's awesome start. And does Martins. Well, he started as quick as Tretiakov in the first heat, a 4.82 for each of them. The bar has been raised. It's a 4.80 start. Tretiakov will watch this, as everyone else, with great interest.
For sure there's great interest. I don't think Martins Dukurs has been behind in any heat in quite some time. And here he is, the second heat here in this new format being experimented with in Lake Placid for a third heat tomorrow. But he looks like he's ready.
This is like being a NASCAR racer and watching Jimmy Johnson on a single qualifying lap. Like being a Formula One driver and watching Michael Schumacher in his pomp. Like watching John Force if you're a pro drag racer. Martins Dukurs, whatever similes you draw, he is the benchmark. 4.84, not as quick as Tretiakov, not as quick indeed as his own first start, but it's the drive that needed the improvement.
Yeah, and if he's often within it, I don't know, that was a little too much of a hit. And had to overcompensate with the rudder light with his feet. But whenever he's been within a 500ths of the start of Tretiakov, he has pulled it out. We'll see if he can do it here. That was a big error out of 3, and somehow he continues to pick up speed.
He was in front. That's gone down from 1800s to 1600s, but now he is turning it around. Oh, not a great chicane.
No, not at all.
Russian was quicker, but he's got a big lead still. Will it be in single digits?
Whoa.
It is 500.
He's burying everything. He's gone for it. Look at that, 100th.
Wow, we've got a race on our hands tomorrow. 54.02 slide. 100th of a second separates Martin Dukurs, our overnight leader, from Alexander Tretiakov. Don't forget, Frank Raml came down in the first heat 200 slower than Martins Dukurs, but his sled was half a kilo overweight, and so needed
talent, and the sliding gods are with Martins Dukurs. I mean, with his tightest competition, the first heat, out disqualified, and a little bit of a rough heat here, off the wall, took a couple big hits, 100th ahead, still keeping his record intact. Look at this, he is fighting it all the way out of Big Benham's Bend. Foot hit first, then the bunk, sled went a little bit slide, great recovery.
He pinballed all over the place, didn't he? There's your race leader, the second place man, and in the jacket you just saw Thomas Dukurs walking back past you. We'll catch up with them in a moment. That is the second heat. Now, uniquely here in Lake Placid, the Fast 10, and you see them there, will go into a third and deciding heat tomorrow. So, Tretiakov, Dukurs, brothers, Daly, they've got it all to do again tomorrow.
At 10:45, we will have the women's run number 2 for bobsleigh. At 1 o'clock, the 2-man race. At 2:15, the women's skeleton race. And at 3 o'clock, we'll conclude our day of racing with the 2-man run number 2. So a lot of racing yet to come tomorrow and Saturday. Check it out. Come on back for the FIVT bobsled and skeleton World Cup event here in Lake Placid. Thanks, as always, once again to the volunteers, the officials, and the track crew. Great job to the crew. Hasn't been so easy the last 2 weeks. Everybody putting in a lot of hours. A lot of man hours. There is no Zamboni. It's all done by hand. So congratulations to the track crew. A great race day ice.
Welcome back to Lake Placid after 2 heats of the season opener for the men's Skeleton World Cup. On some of the fastest ice the sliders will have experienced on this track in a long while. After Hurricane Sandy blew through here with 100-mile-an-hour winds, Tony Carlito and his track crew have worked miracles and many long man hours to produce exceptional race day ice. And what a result they've had. We have got such a tight race. Martin Dukurs, first round leader, still leads after the second run, but just by 0.02 of a second from his closest rival, Alexander Tretiakov. We are in for a real finale in tomorrow's third and deciding heat. Busy day tomorrow as well. We've got 2 heats of women's bob, 2 heats of two-man bob, and the deciders in men and women's skeleton. And these are the 10 sliders that go through from the men's race. Martin Dukurs leads Alexander Tretiakov and Thomas Dukurs. There's 600s among the medals. Let's get down to hear from the top 3 with John Morgan.
Okay, gentlemen, nice day. Thomas, 3 sleds separated by 600s, pretty close race.
Yeah, we are working on spectators, so then tomorrow will be more interesting.
You felt you had 2 good runs?
Yeah, I did quite good. Yeah, with maybe 1 small mistake each run, but totally I am really happy because just with 6 runs in so hard track, it's not so easy to put together.
Good luck tomorrow, and the Russian Rocket, 2 good runs for you.
Да, так и получилось. Хорошо. Проехал 2 попытки по личному рекорду. Хорошо стартанул, в принципе, доволен. Завтра будем продолжать бороться.
He says he had 2 good runs and a personal best he was talking about. And over to our leader, Martin's a little hard tap out of curve 3 in the second run.
Yeah, and also out of 14, so that was not my best performance. Just I'm happy with start, with my push, but I will try to fix for tomorrow.
And what about this format where they eliminated down to like a qualifying procedure? You like this?
In some reason, yes, in some not. It's you're spending more power and energy, but for spectator reason, it's definitely better.
Okay, good luck to you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.
Well, it's a long while since I've seen Martin Dukurs leading and looking so downcast. He knows that he did not get either of his runs even close to being right, but he is still our overnight leader. And the action starts tomorrow, bright and early, 9 Eastern, 1400 GMT, live, online, on your TV, and we go through to 4 in the afternoon here. That is 5 hours of non-stop action. We got 6 racing heats to get away, and 6 medals, or 6 trios of medals to hand out by the end of the afternoon. Will Martin Dukurs be among them? You'll have to join us tomorrow to find out. My thanks to you for being with us, to David Kurtz for his words of wisdom alongside, and John Morgan down on the finish dock. From our producer, Tim Singer, and the rest of the FIBT TV crew here in Lake Placid, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for being with us. Join us please tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 1400 GMT. We are live from Lake Placid.